Hello and welcome to day 4 of our local history week here at Monaghan County Libraries, and today we're going to have a look at the index to obituaries, which has been compiled by our local history librarian, and we're also going to have a look at the civil records that are available online. So again, we're just going to go to our dedicated genealogy and local history page, and the index to the obituaries is the second thing listed. You can see here index to obituaries. So Katrina Lennon, our local history librarian, has done great work on these over the past number of years. She is literally going through the newspapers on microfilm reel by reel and printing off the obituaries as she finds them, and then they've all been collated into a lovely series of books. But these are the actual indexes that are available online. You won't actually find the individual obituaries. But if you contact Katrina with the details of the obituary that you're looking for, once you find it in this index, she will hopefully be able to get a copy of the original obituary to you. So you can see here the first obituaries appeared in Northern Standard from 1839, and Katrina has gone through all the papers up as far as 1869 from the Northern Standard at the minute. She's also gone through the People's Advocate, the Farney Leader, the Monaghan Argus and the Monaghan People. So the way this works is if you had traced back a family relative to, say, the 1900s and you thought their approximate year of death was, say, 1925, we can click in here to the Northern Standard obituaries from 1925, and you can see here it's all listed in alphabetical order. So you have the person's name, their address, the date. Now just bear in mind, this date is the date of the paper that the death appeared in, or the obituary appeared in. It's not the actual date that the person died. So it's the date of the paper which the obituary appeared in, and then details of the page from the book that Katrina has compiled. So if, for example, you were looking for this obituary for a Robert Armstrong from Newbliss, it appeared in the Northern Standard on the 7th of the 8th, 1925, and it's on page 79 of the books that Katrina have put together. So if you pass that information on to Katrina, she should hopefully be able to provide you with a copy of the actual obituary that appeared in the newspaper. And just bear in mind that not everybody's death was reported. In fact, in the earlier years, you had to be of quite high standing or done something really, really bad to have a full report of your death in the newspaper. So not everybody that died in that period obviously is listed in the newspaper or has a full obituary. And some obituaries, it may just be a mention that the person has passed, or they may have got a full paragraph and it may list all belonging to them, which would be a great resource for your family tree. So they can vary in standard. But quite, as I say, quite simple to navigate. Now there's 10 pages in this one, so you could take a shortcut if you hit Control and F on your keyboard and then type in the name that you're looking for. So if you were looking for Connolly, say, you can type in Connolly, and you can see here there's 8 of them, and just use those little arrows to go through. Now, because it's in alphabetical order, all the Connollys are going to naturally be together. Say if we were looking for an Elizabeth and we weren't too sure how her surname was, you can just use that wee trick again. Also, because it's a PDF document, you do have your little download button there, so you could save this to the family history folder that you created on the first day. So that's those. As I say, just scroll through those. They could be useful just if you weren't too sure of a death year and you didn't want to go and look for a death certificate. If you can find the obituary, it could just be quite a helping hand for you. Now, if we go back to the library homepage or the local history homepage here, we can scroll down, and at the very bottom of the page, you'll find the link for irishgenealogy.ie. So this is a dedicated website from the National Archives, which looks at all the civil registrations for births, deaths and marriages. So we'll just click into this. So at first glance, your eye might get caught here to church records. Just bear in mind that the Monaghan church records haven't gone up on this. There are Catholic parish records available up to 1881 on the National Library website if you want to have a look at those. But you'll see here, if you look into church records, and we just can look at the complete list of parishes, there aren't really that many. But you know, if your family is from further down the country, have a wee look, surely you might get something. But for today, we're going to have a look at the civil records. So when we click into that, you can see it's very similar to the census records that we were looking at the other day, where all they're asking for is the first name, the family name, and this time, instead of asking for parishes or townlands, they're asking for the civil registration district. So if you are looking for a family that was around Monaghan, it would be Monaghan. Prior to this going up online, you would have had to go through the offices at Ruski and Monaghan to get these records. So it's great that they are now available online. So while I'm searching this, I am quite conscious that I don't want to be looking up records belonging to somebody else with personal details on them. So I'm going to look up my own granddad's name, actually. And he was James Oliver from Armagh, and he was born in 1916. So I'm going to look for his birth cert. And that's him there. So you can see Oliver is, I suppose, an unusual enough name. If I go back and typed in, say, McKenna in Monaghan, you can see there that there's 15 James McKennas in Monaghan. So when you are dealing with a very common name like McKenna, Trainer, Conley, all those ones, you might have a little bit more work to do. So I'm just going to go back just for demonstration purposes and use my own family tree. Oh. That was Armagh. So you can see if you haven't selected the area in the initial search, you can filter your results down the side here as well. So if I go in here to view, you can see this is great because it gives the mother's surname. But if we go click into image here, it will give us actually a copy of the registration. So if we scroll down here, we should hopefully, yeah, and there he is. James Gerald, and we can see, get from this then, that his father's name was Francis and his mother's name was Esther, and they were farmers. And it also gives the address as well. So straight away, that's great information. So straight away, I have not only my grandfather's birth certificate, I've also got my great-grandmother and great-grandfather's names and their address. So what I can do then is take that information and see if I could perhaps find a marriage certificate then for those. So we have Esther Oliver, and you can see here actually as well, it even tells us her maiden name was Donaldson. So that's straight away a great record to have. So now if I go back, I went too far there, but if I go back into civil records and search for, I'm going to go for my great-grandmother. And so now I'm looking for their wedding certificate. Now I'm very lucky here, it comes up straight away, but you can see there, so I have the marriage of Francis Oliver and Esther Donaldson, and that took place on the 13th of June 1911. So if I click into that, so here we have the details of the marriage. And again, if we want to get more information from the original registration, we just click on image and it'll bring us up the full record. So again, you'll notice there that there's a couple of records per page, but this is the one we want. So this is the marriage of Francis Oliver and Esther Donaldson. So this would be my great-grandparents' marriage certificate from 1911. Again, you can see it gives the addresses, so that'd be useful to go back further. And we've also got their father's names. So these would be my great-grandfathers listed here. And we can see also that they were married in the Roman Catholic Cathedral of St. Patrick's, and I know that's in Armagh. So if you did want to go and view the church register, perhaps you might want to do that. Obviously not for my family, for your own family. And you can see here as well, there's witnesses' signatures, Lizzie McGlone and James Lynch. So just all these little bits of information. And because it's a PDF version, you can download this and save it then to your family history records. So that's great. So we've got the marriage certificate for 1911. So what we could do as well then is we can go and see if we could find either of these birth certificates. So we know they were married in 1911, so it kind of would give us a rough idea that they were probably around 30 when they married. So we'd be looking maybe 1880s for birth certificates for that. So let's go back out and see what we can find. So we go for Esther. And presuming she was Armagh still when she was born. So if we click on birth certificate. Oh yeah, so there's an Esther Donaldson, born in 1881. So those years would kind of match up. Let's click in and see if it's her. And she's the first on the list here. So now, because we could see on the marriage certificate, it only gave the father's details, but here on Esther's birth certificate, it gives her father's and her mother's. So these would be my great-great-grandparents. And also what's great is for the mother, it gives her maiden name as well. So you can see here she was formerly Welsh. Her maiden name was formerly Welsh. And you can see here it has further information. Now I can't actually read what the rank or profession is of Esther's father. I'm not sure what that is. It looks like Carn Killenman. I'm not sure what that is. And then labourer. You can see here as well, it's his mark. So you can see it gives his name John Donaldson, but right here is an X for his mark. So that would suggest that he wasn't able to write. And in 1881, in fairness, that wouldn't have been so unusual. So again, what I would do is save that then to my family history folder, download that to my family history folder. So that is her birth certificate from 1881. And we have now her parents' names. So we could have a look and see if we can find a marriage certificate for a Margaret Welch to a John Donaldson. So Margaret. So it is just a lot of backtracking and a lot of luck. I have to say this is a very straightforward search. The other side of my family is McKenna, so that's not why I'm demonstrating that one, because it's there's a lot more work in a more common name like McKenna than there is in something like this. So I am looking for Margaret's marriage certificate. So, and we're looking for Margaret Walsh married John Donaldson. Yeah. So we can see here, this is spelled Donaldson. He was previously listed as Donaldson, so there's a D missing along the way, but we'll not worry about that. So this is the marriage registration then. If we just scroll in there, you will see that they're at the top of the list. So this is the marriage certificate for my great-great-grandparents, and they were married on the 6th of May, 1866. It lists them here as of full age, and you'll notice that that's the same for all the records. And what that means is that they were over 21. Unfortunately, it doesn't give the exact age, but we do know that they're over 21. And if we scroll across here, you can see it gives their profession or rank, the residence at the time of marriage. But which is also brilliant, they've given me the two fathers' names, so Daniel Donaldson and Michael Walsh. So they would be my great-great-great-grandfathers, which is fantastic to find. So again, you could take those two names, try and find maybe marriage certificates for those, see how far back we could really go, but we could be here all day if we started doing that. So that is just kind of an example of how you can work your way through it. And as I say, I have been very lucky with those records. This can take an awful long time to get through them all. What you could do with those names then as well is because they were, let me see, one of them was married there in 1911. So we should be able to find those on the census records if we went back to that, and also on the 1901, and just verify the details. So you really can get lost down a rabbit hole doing this. You can just spend hours searching through, but it really is very exciting actually whenever you find the family that you were looking for. So as I said, anytime, any questions, just give Katrina Lennon a shout. You can drop her an email. No, that's it for today. So I hope you're enjoying the tour through local history and that you're having a bit of luck with your own family tree. We'd love to hear how you're getting on. Tomorrow we're going to do something slightly different. We're actually going to have a look through the National Folklore Collection and some fabulous local information contained in those copybooks. We'll have a look through them tomorrow. In the meantime, have a lovely evening.